Hi, welcome. My name is Lynette, and this is Off the Road. We are a development, economic, and political channel. So we look at Africa, and our focus today is what is happening in Congo. And we keep on asking ourselves, where is there endless war in Congo? Like, what what is it that makes Congo so unstable? And you have to go a bit to history to see how Congo was under Belgium, and they were destabilized. And then after they gained independence, they had Mobutu Sese Seko, who was a very corrupt dictator, and he further destabilized and looted the country basically. And that history made Congo to have different factions of people who are disgruntled, poverty, especially when there's poverty and inequality. You should be able to know that a place will be full of strife and crime and things like this. However, we also want to look at Congo's strategic advantage in Africa. It is huge. Congo is the size of like Western Europe. That's how huge it is. But it's not just huge in size, it's huge in natural resources. So Congo is known well for a mineral that it produces called coltan. So if you watched Black Panther, they had vibranium, and vibranium was used in technology. So coltan is used like in smartphones. Like if you have a smartphone, you just know that you have a little Congo in your smartphone or your PlayStation. So they are huge exporters of that mineral. They're mineral rich. They also have gold. I'm not sure if they have diamonds, but I wouldn't be surprised. So, and also agricultural wise, they're super, the soils are fertile, and it should be, if there was no war in Congo, for sure Congo would be one of those countries that other African nations would be coming to work as immigrants because of how rich that nation is. Actually, it has so much gold, because I remember during Mobutu Sese Seko, he was a dictator in back in the day, and he had his palace had gold sinks, like the handles, and the handles of the sinks and things like those were gold. Like, it is super mineral rich. So it interests a lot of nations. There's interest there, and that's why I can say that the war in Congo is driven by the minerals. That is what feeds that war, because whenever the country is unstable, you'll realize other countries come and take advantage. And if you check my video about Somalia, I talk about Somalia and Congo. Somalia, it was the Indian Ocean. Their maritime was infringed on because the country is unstable, and then it produced another problem, which was piracy. So Congo has that same issue, whereby because it's super wealthy, like something like the blood diamond, whenever there's a country is mineral rich, wars are, there could be just a war, but it is made so much worse because of what is there to gain by the war. It's easy to extract and to exploit the nation and just get these minerals for that cheap. So there's something behind it. The way it's like fighting a fire, like the way a Tesla is electrical, and if it catches fire, it's just super hard to extinguish that fire because it's battery powered. So, and the batteries are huge, so the fire keeps on. So most of the time you just let the fire go on until it extinguishes itself. So Congo, the thing that makes it burn is the minerals, and also a weak government, unstable government, and there are actors in that whole thing who make sure that there is never peace in that nation. And it's up to Congo, itself to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, here we are being exploited by everyone, our neighbors, you know, the people who are coming to help as peacekeepers. Everyone is after something in Congo, and we just need to sit down and just squash this. And but you know, of course, easier said than done. So the what has happened in the recent days, we saw the Kenyan embassy being burned. Now I come from Kenya, so I'm sure you know we were all alarmed, because embassies are usually safe havens, but it's the people in Kinshasa who are so upset by this war that never ends, and international communities just taking advantage of their country and not resolving it. So I think, especially for the locals, the people who they are most upset with is the UN peacekeepers. Now, for me, I'm with the president Shisekedi, and I'm like, let them leave, as in it is time. If after 25 years, you know, peace has not been achieved, you know, it's like a never ending cycle, then it's time to look at how you're strategizing yourself and how you're trying to make peace in that country, and then realizing that, hey, something is off and something is not working, and we just need to get out of here. So I'm with him when they say it's time for them to leave, and then maybe now other better strategies, because there's no peace. Actually, PLO Lumumba said, how can you keep the peace if there was no peace to begin with, you know? And also there are other interests. You see, like the UN peacekeepers, it's called MONUSCO. So MONUSCO is mostly peacekeeping mission. They are normally not on the offensive. Yeah, it's just to negotiate peace within the communities, seek dialogue and things like that, which clearly is not working. Because actually, when now we'll go back to 2009 and see where did this M23 come from, because they are the most advanced militia in Congo. And apparently it's not only M23 that's militia in Congo. The country is so divided, it has like 123 different militia. It's just that the others are small, so everyone is trying to protect themselves. Everyone has a gun somewhere. Everyone is trying to get hold of the minerals, but M23 is the most organized, so that's why you keep on hearing it very often. But there's also ADF, and that's terrorist it's a rebel group, but of late it has allies, or it has association with the ISIS. Yeah, and they were from Uganda, they were pushed to DRC, and they're also there. But the one that everyone is scared of in Congo is M23. So how did M23 come to be? So prior to 1999, in the Congo army, so we have Congolese who are Tutsi. So some of the Congolese in the army who are Tutsi were feeling as if they were being is it alienated or being discriminated? Yes, discriminated against. And hence they decided, they're like, we're gonna form a rebel group called CNDF. So CNDF was formed, and they were fighting for their rights. They wanted to be a political party, and they also wanted more, you know, a stronger presence in the army. And also the Congolese Tutsis, the Banyamulenge, and also other Kenya Rwanda tribes to be acknowledged in the government, because they're Congolese. You know, it's how I can describe it is, because you'd wonder, why do we have Congolese who are Tutsi? But you know, you'll have to go back to the scramble of Africa, whereby the borders were decided by Europeans. So even like in Kenya, we have Kenya Somali, we have Somali, Somalians who are from Somali, and we have Somali who are Ethiopians. But you see, if you look at it nicely on the map, you'll see they're just bordering. So it's just the way the countries were divided. But they are now, the Kenyan Somalis are Kenyans, you know. They're not Somalis, they're Kenyans. So even the Tutsis in Congo are Congolese. That's a fact, right? But because of, you know, government politics and stuff like that, they have been discriminated against, and that's why the CNDF was formed. So anyway, a peace deal with the government was made on March the 23rd, 2009. and it was supposed to, you know, give the ones of CNDF. But unfortunately, nothing like that happened. I think what they were expecting is definitely not what they got. So what happened, a small faction of the CNDF decided that had enough and they're going to fight for their rights. So they formed M23 with M23 meaning March 23rd of 2009. So that's how the group was formed in 2012. Yeah, and then they took a huge, they went and captured Goma at that time. So the killings were there and it was a mess. Now when you capture Goma, you are preventing like the minerals coming from the neighboring North Kivu. I mean, the area is the whole area is North Kivu, but but Goma is very strategic. It's actually the capital city of North Kivu, right? So once you capture there, you're like capturing the whole mineral area. That's what it means. So it was so terrible, and there were interventions that were not working. Eventually, now this is where at least I give MONUSCO credit. They formed the FIB, that's the Frontier Intervention Brigade. So this was an offensive part of the peacekeeping mission, you know, whereby they're like, we are going to now fight the M23. And they are formed mostly of soldiers from Malawi, Tanzania, and South Africa. And actually South Africa provided like aircrafts, advanced military aircrafts, and they were able to actually defeat M23 in 2013. They really actually squashed them, and M23, they fled to Rwanda and wherever else they could flee to, but it was squashed. So for a whole decade there was not much being heard of M23, although there are still those other small militia groups happening. So in 2021, it's like they resurfaced. There was a resurgence, and they came back and they shot a UN aircraft and 6 people were killed. So it was back. They were back now with a vengeance, better organized, more strategic, with super military equipment, and they were taking over. You know, ideally it's to take over the government, right? It's to usurp power. So yeah, they came back to Goma and they started like causing that chaos. So that's what's been happening. And there have been interventions by different factions. So you have the MONUSCO, which has been there for the past 25 years. In terms of peace, I don't think their strategy was really good. Because why the people of Congo are so mad is because the M23 would come killing them and killing the villagers and stuff like that, and they would run to the UN barracks and no one would open those gates because they're not supposed to be on the offensive. So you have a troop of 10,000 US, even I get upset, UN peacekeepers that are stationed in Congo, and yet they're not helping the people, you know. In fact, M23 actually would be so brazen to taunt and hang like heads on a pike near the bases of the UN just to taunt them and say, there's nothing you're doing here. We're killing, and you know, we are taking over, and there's nothing you're doing. So but where they did well was the FIB, the intervention brigade that squashed M23, and I wish they had continued on the offensive so that they could squash many of those militia groups. But that's not their mandate. So I also don't understand what they're still doing there if it's not working. So there was a Nairobi peace process that happened in March 2023, and that was led by our former president Uhuru Kenyatta, and they were to just come together with the M23, the government, and Rwanda, because M23, now this is where Rwanda comes in. So when after the genocide, when the Hutus fled, like millions and millions of Hutus fled when the Tutsis took over government in Rwanda, they fled to Congo. So they regrouped and form the FDLR, which is an army based of Hutu people who were actually, many of them were involved in the genocide. So, and they want to go back to Rwanda and take over. Basically, that's why Rwanda has an issue with that, because they're like, these people, they are a force that is coming back. And you know, that's how Rwanda was acquired, because this time it was, that time it was being led by Paul Kagame. He had his forces in Uganda, and they came over and they took over. So it's possible for the FDLR to assemble and, you know, and cause havoc and go back to Rwanda to cause havoc. So that's why you see the president of Rwanda is very assertive, and he's even gone on the offensive with FDLR. However, since Congo is not his country and it's not within his jurisdiction, it is widely known that he supports the M23, because M23 are based off Tutsi soldiers who are being oppressed, and they're the ones who can attack the FDLR and keep them and management. But you see, the problem with M23 FDLR, they are all extortionists. They are, you know, yes, there's a genuine cause, but even to finance those huge armies, they are gonna involve themselves in exploitative things that threaten the people of Congo and their peace and stability. So there's none on the right. So that's why the president of Congo and the president of Rwanda do not, you know, they're always at loggerheads, because the president of Congo keeps on saying, you are the one who is fueling, you are the one who is giving support to M23, and hence we cannot squash them as a government and have a stable country. But on the other side, the president of Rwanda is like, you are hoarding people who are threatening, you know, threatening the sovereignty of my country. So you need to deal with that, and if you can't deal with that, I will deal with that. So that's the to and fro. So the Nairobi process happened, and the peace talks happened, but the results were actually dismal. And even right now, as the president of the East African community, our president actually requested for an emergency meeting with the president of Rwanda and Congo. And the president of Congo said no, he doesn't want to come, because he doesn't believe that anything will be done. And I actually understand where he's coming from, because when the Nairobi peace process happened in 2023, and you know, it was supposed to, you know, squash M23, and actually it was supposed to be a dialogue with M23 and the government, and you know, let them come together and discuss and see how they can stop the war in Congo. But you see, after that, a faction called the River Alliance came to Nairobi to meet, and they had they had like association with M23. So you cannot tell me that after, you know, you've discussed peace and we're like, let's be peaceful, you know, let's stop this, Rwanda, you know, Congo, we are putting you together in this Nairobi peace process, and then a few months later you host the opposition of the government, and it's just like an affront. To be honest, it was like an affront, and it did not actually make sense. So that's why the Congolese president Felix Tshisekedi cannot really trust the East African community, you know, and cannot do this Nairobi process anymore, because they're like, you betrayed us, you know. On one hand you're saying you're with us, but on the other hand we can see you're with Rwanda, you know, and you're sympathetic with the opposition that is causing problems to my government. So there's also been peace talks in Angola, and a ceasefire was brokered in August last year, 2024, but apparently it fell apart. After a bit, it just fell apart. So there's that issue. So what's the way forward? The way forward is, it has to be multi-dimensional. It's just not one thing. It cannot just be one thing. It has to be dialogue, but it also has to be military intervention, like the way the FIB, they squashed M23 in 2013. That should be done again. The peacekeepers should go, and maybe the UN should re-strategize and see if they should be on the offensive, or what else can they do that can help this situation. But I believe the answers lie with Congo itself and their government. They are the ones who are hurting the most. They're the ones whose people have never known peace. So whatever it takes to get peace in Congo should be done, whether it's to accept some concessions that may not be so favorable or may not be so right as now, but for the sake of peace, because you cannot have a country without stability. No matter how rich you are, no matter, there are also other countries. You see, there are Western countries, and there are other countries, world countries, Asian countries, and all other countries in Congo, and they are benefiting from this war because they are able to extract minerals cheap, that's cheap, okay, even using child miners and getting this gold and coltan that Congolese people are not being able to benefit from. So how ironic is that you have one of the richest countries in the world, but on the other hand, you're one of the poorest countries in the world and war torn. So yeah, it needs dialogue, but it also needs military intervention, so that to stabilize the army, to stabilize the Congolese army, there needs to be a centralized government and just negotiating. And the thing with between Rwanda and Congo, it's makes so much sense if they could just broker peace for both their sakes. Because yes, it's true that minerals are being smuggled to Rwanda and Rwanda is benefiting, but the full benefit of doing trade with Congo would far surpass those minerals that are being smuggled. For Congo to be stable, it would mean that Burundi, Rwanda, and all other countries surrounding Congo would be also stable. So it is to their advantage to actually just come and and hash it out, no matter how difficult that is. And a good group to do it would be the African Union, but we are not so sure because it looks like SADC, the Southern region bloc, and East African community, they're the ones who are coming and trying to put peace, to piece together Congo. But actually that is a role for African Union, because once Congo is stable, the whole of Africa will benefit. First it will be Congo to benefit, rightfully so, and then via trade all other African countries will benefit. So it should be done within, but it should be done quickly and urgently, because if war breaks out in Congo, it's that's a country that will be destabilized and destabilize also the countries around it. It will threaten the integrity of other countries because of the Hutu and Tutsi who are both in both countries. You have Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda, of course. Then you have the same in Congo. So we need a solution that is African based, but also not to forget that of course we need also the West, because whether they've been involved in the delay of the ending of the war or not, they also need to be involved, because we need their money, we need their trade also. And actually UK has even said that it will sanction Rwanda if it continues to interfere with Congo. So we also need them, but as on the side, not as the main players, because Africa, we should be able to have our own solutions. It has reached that point whereby it's either your whole country will be exploited, or else you solve it and resolve it in a way that for now can push the country forward, because that is what is needed. So yeah, our hearts go out to the Congolese people, but we pray that their the war will come to an end soon, and they'll be able to benefit from the vast natural resources that Congo has. Yeah, that's all for today. If you have any comments, just drop down and leave us a comment, like and subscribe. See you. Bye.